Welcome to this episode of the Social CMO Show. I'm your host Shilpi Agarwal, and our guest today is Shalini Govil-Pai, the Director and Global Head of YouTube Google. Welcome, Shalini.
Thank you, Shilpi. I'm excited to be here.
How are you?
I'm good.
So, Shalini, tell us a little bit about your primary role for the brand, YouTube and Google.
So I head up Partner Solutions, which is a global team that we have that's really about enabling all of our creators, such as the creators could include media companies such as Disney. It does include some of our brands such as Dove, and it also includes the long tail of creators who are looking to make YouTube as their platform to express their creativity. So my team is charged with ensuring that all of these creators can actually use our platform effectively and be able to derive audiences from it, audiences being reach of your eyeballs, and also to be able to make money out of it.
Okay, so monetize their YouTube channel in essence?
Yes, monetization is a big aspect that a lot of our creators look for, but in general, the audience build out is always number one.
So you help them actually create build their audience? How does it work?
Yes, everyone has to work on building. It's kind of, if you think about what Google did in the early days, which is it was a search engine. I mean, in theory, it uses objective metadata to surface your website, but you have to work at it. You have to make sure that there's right metadata, that people who are looking for that kind of stuff find it on your website, so that it's an informational and interesting experience. Just like that, our creators do have to ensure that their content is targeted effectively for the people who want to watch it, that it shows up in search, that people can recommend it and share it with their friends. So that, yes, the audience development does have to come from the creators.
So that comes from the creators, and then how do your team help in that? Does your team help in that?
Yes, we help them with the best practices of how to think about it. How should they be using the data that we provide via the YouTube analytics in terms of who are my demographics, what are they looking for, how do I make use of this information with business insights to actually further my business.
Oh, okay. Cool. So YouTube recently announced that they are allowing 360-degree video uploads on YouTube now, right? So tell us a little bit more about that, and how can brands take advantage? How do we get started with creating 360-degree video and things like that?
Yeah, I think 360-degree video is very interesting. I think it's a new and emerging technology, so I don't think that there are any best practices per se that are out there that says this is how you should use it or this is how you should not use it. People are still experimenting with it. The reason that it's really interesting right now is because as you get devices like the Oculus or Google Cardboard out in the market, 360-degree viewing actually becomes an experience that is really that. It's really 360 degrees. Like you can immerse yourself in it, as opposed to just using your mouse, which is what it is like right now, as opposed to using your mouse to just rotate around the visuals. Sure. So that's kind of why it's really interesting. We have some deals with some of the top brands, such as Nike. The sports guys are really into it. Or like, how do they take advantage of that 360 degree to view sports content and then market their brands around it? There's been some really interesting experiment that even Adidas did with the Oculus. This was not on YouTube, but they actually created this entirely immersive experience of the Grand Canyon. It's really like within this 50-feet room, but it's an immersive experience. It's a 360-degree experience that you put on the Oculus, and people were practically falling off this fake cliff because they felt like they were in that environment. And that was sponsored by Adidas. And so those are some of the experiments that brands are trying out with 360-degree viewing. I think it's going to get more and more. But like I said, it's emerging. And my only advice to brands would be feel free to experiment here.
Okay.
Don't expect that it's going to hit millions of viewers and people are going to come rushing to your brands because of it. It's an interesting time to experiment and learn from it.
Is it available for everyone?
If it's not, now I forget the exact details of I think it's pretty much available to everyone.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, cool. So how do you make sure that YouTube is still the number one platform of video choice for brands? Like, with all the competition, I'm sure you won't talk about that, but how about like YouTube is still the number one choice for brands?
I mean, I think that in general, like Google's philosophy is always users first.
Mm-hmm.
So we're always trying to create an experience that users want and want to come to. And so whether it's trying out, new experiences like 360, or whether it's ensuring that the content on the site is really top notch and it's something that people want to view and watch, or even if it's like something as simple as making sure that the content is globally accessible. So if there's IPL in India, the people in the US want to watch it too, and how do we make sure that's available? How do we make sure that we can create translated versions of content so that people can enjoy it from a global viewpoint? That's always our primary focus, is how do we create the best user experience, and then we just believe everything else flows from there. If we have the best experience, then we will have the best place for advertisers and brands to be, we will have the best place for creators to be, and eventually the best place for the world to be on. So I think that's the philosophy.
So what do you think are the top 3 video trends to watch out for?
The top 3 video trends. If I knew exactly what they were, them. A lot of it is, I think, it's just an exciting time for video because, finally the bandwidth is high enough that videos can actually be experienced in high def without buffering, without stuttering, especially in the emerged markets. In emerging markets, we're still working on some of that infrastructure. But I think the infrastructure is finally a place that you can imagine more and more video content online. And so there's just an amazing amount of experimentation that's going on. Of course, YouTube has always been at the forefront with on-demand video, but now there's live video like Periscope and Meerkat that have been getting a lot of hype. We have a similar platform on YouTube as well for broadcasting live videos.
Which is?
It's YouTube.
Oh, okay.
Live channel on YouTube.
Right.
Yeah. So there's live video. There's of course all the cable folks are moving to online in a big way, knowing that you think about it from a user's point of view, they don't want to be stuck to their living room to watch content. They want to watch it on any device, wherever they are. Yeah. And I think there's realization that now we can provide it through internet-based technologies. So that's another big one that you're seeing, right? With Sling TV, Apple TV just recently announced that as well.
Right.
And then I think the third thing is really the social elements of video. So, if you think of 3D experiences, can you create a social experience where I'm now, even though I'm actually in my own room, I'm actually experiencing all my friends there in the same room, even though they might be like half the world away. They may be and I'm experiencing them in this very same room. And I think that those are like the 3 areas I would say are very interesting, where a lot of experimentation is happening. It's hard to say if anything is going to definitely make it the next wave, but I think that those are the 3 that we're seeing a lot of work being done on.
So there is a lot of questions around what makes a video viral. So what are your thoughts on that? How can you make generate content that you can set it up for success?
Yeah, although success doesn't mean that it has to go viral necessarily. Like your criteria for it. I don't think there are a few players like BuzzFeed who work really hard to make videos go viral. Mm-hmm. And they have some of their philosophies that they put in, such as, are the taglines interesting? Do they make people click through? Is the content based on, a lot of people will do the data mining on search queries. What are people searching for? What are the current events that are of topical interest? And then they'll base their content on that so that, the search terms naturally derive it. There are cues that you can put in your content to make it much more rich to share. Like sharing can be a big part, and so really thinking about that as you create your content. But again, like if I knew the recipe for exactly how do you create viral videos,
No.
I would have created 100 of them already. There's no set recipe.
That is
There's
so
a lot
true.
of like different frameworks that you can follow. But in the end, the content has to be interesting enough.
Definitely.
That's the bottom line.
That is
Like,
bottom line.
we used to say content is king, and I think that still applies. You always have to think about who's my audience? Is this content valid for them? Are they interested in it? And is it topical? Is it of topical interest? And it's like making a movie, right? How do you know it's going to be a hit? You have to base it on what is interesting for your audience.
Put the right ingredients and let the magic happen.
Yep. Let the magic happen.
So, Shalini, I want to go back to some of your personal questions. So, you have experience with Pixar, right? And you were the technical director
Yes.
there. So, what film? It was Toy Story, right? Toy Story 3 or?
Yes, I was technical director on Toy Story as well as A Bug's Life, which were the 2 early movies from Pixar.
So all sequels of Toy Story, or?
No, I left the company before Toy Story 2 came out.
Okay, so tell us about how was that experience?
Oh, it was an amazing experience. It was a really small company when I joined.
Mm.
Call it a startup. So with any startup, I think the amount of excitement because you're changing the world,
yeah,
completely different, is just mind-blowing. I don't think you can ever experience that in a bigger company.
True.
Because each person is responsible for so much. And you're changing the world at such a pace that it's really breathtaking. It was a lot of work. I mean, we used to work Saturdays and Sundays. We used to work really long hours, but I think in the end it was all worth it. So I think it was an amazing experience, and I would never trade it for anything in the world.
Do you like to sketch or draw yourself? Are you creative?
I'm creative, but I don't think that drawing and sketching is the only ways to do creativity.
No, they're definitely.
Yeah, definitely. I'm very creative in terms of like thinking out of the box, coming up with new ways to do things, new ideas on how we could approach an existing problem. So yes, I would say I'm creative, and that is what drove me to Pixar, is working with a set of people who are also very, very creative in their own ways.
Definitely.
Yes.
And you were recently featured in Vogue India magazine, right?
Yes.
And I saw that your page was right next to Aishwarya Rai.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about that. I mean, that's extraordinary.
Well, it just happened. It was not that something I was planning. Vogue was doing a feature on the IT girls,
Okay.
and so they reached out to me. But I will say that in general, what really excites me is and it's always excited me, is being at the brink of technology and entertainment and media.
Right.
That's why I joined Pixar, because even though I came from technology, it was a media company. That's why I'm on YouTube, because even though I'm in technology, it's a media company.
Mm-hmm.
And, that's what Vogue was doing a feature on, is like, how does technology change the game in fashion? How does it change it in media? How does it change it in other ways? And I think so it was interesting, because I think it's part of my brand.
Absolutely.
Cusp of media and technology.
Cool. So did they do hair, makeup, and all that in India? Did they come here?
No, they came here. So they have a unit here in the US.
Oh, okay.
And so yes, we went to the city, and yes, we did all the makeup, and they
look gorgeous in that picture.
Yeah, Chinatown. Yeah, thank you.
Beautiful. Absolutely. Thank you, Shalini, for being with us today.
Yes, of course. Thank you, Shilpi. It was great. Great talking to you.
Great talking to you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye.